black voter is the most undermined and underappreciated voting bloc in the United States by a country mile. And
by Democrats, let's be real.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And the fact that you were willing to basically say, listen, I'll take some of your slings and arrows, but you basically are saying we are tired of being the whipping boy for your stupid party. Like at some point, either our vote matters or we're going to make sure that it does by hook or crook. And that is the way that you get things done, by basically saying my vote ain't free. So you better come and get it. Would love to hear your thoughts on that conversation.
Absolutely. First of all, Joe Biden, I call him Joe Crow. I call him the segregationist in chief. The fact that Clyburn endorsed him, knowing this man's history, people talk about Donald Trump's history of racism. Donald Trump can't hold a candle to Joe Biden's history of anti-blackness. Joe Biden was a mentee of some of the most notorious racists in modern day Congress. Eastland, Thurman, who my family has been harmed by policies that Thurman did here in South Carolina, to which they're still trying to recover from. Lost opportunities, scholarships that they could have had. Joe Biden did not just work with them, he befriended them. He wrote them deep, touching personal letters thanking them. He referred to having black kids in his children's school as making it into a jungle, which is classic anti-black language, calling black people things like jungle buddies, or using the terminology of people being uncivilized, living in a rainforest as black people. I'm talking about not just the crime bill of 1994 that put more black people in jail than chattel slavery or since chattel slavery, but I'm talking about the damage he did in the 1970s and the 1980s, where black communities were flooded with heroin and crack. And instead of putting resources to treat this issue and the underlying causes, he did a disparity. Whereas white Americans were using powder form, they pretty much got a slap on the wrist, if even a slap. Black Americans got the book thrown at them. Some people are still in prison because of Joe Biden's bondage. But then to tell Charlemagne the God, who sat there and cowardly allowed it, that if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. Had that been me, we would still be on a commercial break right now, because he wasn't going to say that to me. I want to say that the anger in the black community is so thick and palatable, you can feel it. James Clyburn had his usual fish fry, and it was more chairs and volunteers out there than there were people. And when the older black people stop showing up, you know you really, really have an issue. When I get older black people, where I show them Clyburn's record, and then they start complaining about Biden and how Clyburn endorsed Biden and sold them a bunch of empty promises, and they tear his sticker off and ask for my flyers, you know you have problems. And I said to someone from Clyburn's team, you cannot base the future of the Democratic Party off of older black voters for much longer. The younger black voters, my generation and younger, are now waking up and saying what other groups say. What are you going to do specifically for us, people of our culture, our ethnicity, our race? Other groups have no problem advocating for their needs. We should not have any reticence in doing it either. So you're right. Black Americans have been absolutely betrayed. And I want to be real quick. The latest example has this awful massacre that happened in Buffalo, New York, where I did a comparison of Clyburn's response when the Asian Americans were unfortunately massacred in the massage parlor. He specified that it was anti-Asian American hate. He said hashtag stop Asian hate. He then put forth the COVID-19 bill, which, in policy is not specifically for Asians. But if you read the legislative text why the bill was written, they make it very clear it was because of the surge of hate crimes against Asian Americans. His tweet for the Buffalo massacre came the next day. He did not specify there was an anti-black attack. He has not put forth any legislation. He's the majority whip. He writes the legislative agenda for the Democratic Party. He has not put forth any legislation of an anti-black hate crime bill. And don't think our people, my people, are not noticing it. They are the reason the Democrats are in power. and they keep going out their way to neglect us and put every other group before us, even Ukrainians in a country over 5,000 miles away.
Yeah, it's absolutely, you're absolutely right about that. But let's be clear about the role that Clyburn plays. They'd already decided that they wanted Biden to be the nominee. So Barack Obama and the others, suddenly everybody dropped out. They all coalesced around Biden, and everyone acts like Clyburn is some kind of a kingmaker. He's nothing of the sort. He took direction from the top, and that's why he endorsed Biden in the first place. But you are absolutely right. People are struggling with the inflation, with gas prices, with now they can't even baby formula. I'm like, what is wrong with this? Now you can't even have food for your child. I mean, it's insane. And they want to make this big thing about, we're, the defense spending. I can't remember what it's called, DPA to produce baby formula. And they're flying it around like, okay, fine. But it's been months that this has been going on. And it's the kind of thing that elected officials the president has a bully pulpit, does he not, is supposed to do something about. The most basic, the most basic things they failed to do. And they get these stooges like Clyburn, and that's exactly what he is. And the rest of the Black political class, the members of Congress, they just go along. There were even some who they used to speak up, people who were slightly radical, who would push back. They are all silent. And Biden has been, I never liked him. I didn't vote for him, but he's worse than I thought, which is,
I agree.
Is considerable.
Which I thought was not possible.
I believe what you say about people saying they miss Trump. We didn't have World War III on the bingo card when Trump was in office. It pains me to say that, but that's the situation that we're in. We have to be honest about it.
And it makes it even more dangerous because now, even today, I think it was the New York Times that just released an article saying that Biden said, if China invades Taiwan, we'll be there too. It's like, God, why don't you just end the world now while you're at it? It's like, come on.
I mean, it wasn't bad enough that Ukraine blew up in their faces. Now they want to start something with China too. These people are delusional. Well, and they're not smart. Biden and his foreign policy team are amateurs. They are not smart. And I am very fearful of what they can do.
And whose kids are they going to send into these wars? That's the thing I want to say. Biden is old. He's probably going to be dead soon anyway. But you want to send these young men and women all to fight some pointless, useless war? And, I want to call out the hypocrisy here. Nancy Pelosi had the audacity to read a scripture when she was criticized about sending trillions to Ukraine. She says that scripture about when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. She was pretty much saying that helping out Ukraine is helping out the world. I find that very interesting because when I say to this nation that the people who are descendants of those that were enslaved by the American government, the last piece of legislation that Abraham Lincoln signed was Special Field Order 15 to give Black Americans the 40 acres in a mule. They were going to pay the debt. And Lincoln was a Republican. I always said to the white Republicans in my area, and the Black ones too, Lincoln was a Republican, and he signed a reparations bill. Had he been alive, things would be much different in Black America. But he was assassinated, and Andrew Johnson rescinded Special Field Order 15 and pretty much left us open to extreme violence. Ronald Reagan did reparations for the Japanese Americans that were interned. I bring up what this country owes Black Americans, which is indisputable. When you have studies saying that we still get over trillions of dollars from slave-built infrastructure. I'm here in Ridgeland, South Carolina. The Port of Savannah is only like 10, 15, 20 miles from me. It brings in trillions of dollars to America. Port of Charleston, a little further from me, brings in trillions of dollars, all built using slave labor. And yet you will get those same Democrats, and I am calling out the Democrats, who are more than willing to spend trillions in Ukraine and trillions fighting the people in China, yet they don't see any value in fighting to pay reparations to the Black Americans who built this nation, have defended this nation in every single war, sustained this nation, and contribute massively to this nation's economy while benefiting the least from it. So since Nancy Pelosi wants to quote scriptures, how about you read the part of the scriptures where when the Israelites were freed, the people who had enslaved them or did wrong to them were forced to give them wealth and goods to sustain them throughout the generations, or they were forced to get land to sustain them throughout the generations. Stop picking and choosing the parts of the Bible you want to quote, because there's a lot more there that we can use to talk about reparations.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.